Well, it is a dilemma all parents face at some stage too. When is the right time to leave your kids home alone? And when should you start letting your kids be more independent? Catch public transport and even go out with their friends. Well, here with some advice, child psychologist Kimberley O'Brien. Kimberley, good morning to you. Well, welcome to the show. First of all, I think we should establish that there is a law here, or there are some laws, or there is a lack of laws.
Lack of, pretty much. There is no actual law in Australia to say what age is a good age to leave kids home alone. So it's really up to the parents or the individual child to decide when they're ready for that responsibility.
That being said, there is a law that you have to take due care.
You do, so if something does go wrong, then you're in trouble. So keeping kids safe at home, making sure there's no appliances that are going to, be set on fire, that's very important, because if something goes wrong, the parents are liable.
I hate to sound like I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but the times have changed so much. Georgie and Lisa were talking before about how in year one we used to walk to school quite a long way, and we'd get home sometimes alone. I just wonder, in terms of when we should do it, when we should be looking at it, bearing in mind all the changes that have taken place, when is it okay to leave your children at home?
Yeah, I think things are changing in that parents are working longer hours, after-school care is now filling up, so sometimes there's no options and kids are being left home alone from a younger age. But the important thing is that kids need to feel really comfortable with that. So when you're a young boy walking home and having some space at home, you probably thought, brilliant, I can get into the biscuit barrel, or I can go and watch TV, or whatever it is. Some kids feel really uncomfortable in their home, they're isolated, and they don't know the neighbours, so that's when we run into trouble.
Well, what about, for example, you have a couple of kids and one of them is older. Are they okay to look after the younger one?
I think so. I think that's an ideal situation.
Obviously, it's an individual assessment that parents need to make, but when is okay? Is there a rule?
Well, there's no rule, that's the thing. So I'm thinking that if there's siblings involved and neighbours, then if there's a community approach, then it's more likely that the kids are going to feel comfortable. But for only children, sometimes they do feel really scared. So I've got to look at parents' anxiety levels as well. Like, do they feel comfortable leaving the kids at home, or are they going to have a really, uncomfortable time while they're outside? So
we had about a 2K walk when I was a kid to the bus station, and then about a half an hour bus ride into school. I think I did that in year one. When is okay for public transport to take place?
Well, you see lots of kids today in their little hats catching trains from the age of 6. So I think it's quite common for kids that do catch public transport to school to be doing that from a young age. But for kids that aren't used to that sort of scene, I think they need to do the trip with their parents a number of times beforehand. And I'm thinking, say, 12 or 14 for more complicated trips with changing trains and buses.
Planes?
Planes.
I know that a lot of the airlines have people that look after the kids while they're on the plane.
Yeah. Well, I think, myself, I remember doing that when I was like 7, going interstate to visit grandparents. So
would you do that now? If you had children at that age?
I think if there's lots of support at both ends, it can be a really exciting adventure. One
final one for you. Out at night, this is the big one, and Lisa is fast approaching this one. She's going to allow herself to go out at night at some point soon. What age would you recommend?
I think 16 is a good age for going out to safe places like movies and maybe shopping centres if parents feel comfortable with that scene. But I think under 16, for kids being unsupervised in the evening, is really something that's stressful for both parents, or both parents, maybe not the children, but definitely both parents. So, yeah, 16.
Some of it comes down to that individual assessment, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Kimberley, good to talk to you today. And Lisa, at 16 years of age, you just qualify.
Thank you for that, Carl. You just saved yourself.